It's World Bee Day this week, and what better time than to find out some fascinating facts about them? Now, the bee kingdom can be brutal. A new queen bee will kill other virgin queens to eliminate competition for the throne, which involves a fight to the death. After mating, a drone bee explodes and dies because its organs are ripped out during the process. But given all that, these wonderful buzzing creatures are so important for human survival, we must conserve them. Welcome to Kaleidoscope, where we are positive, daring and different, and here's to protecting bees. On the show today, Sri Lankans and life insurance, a vision for Sri Lanka in 2048 and a taste of Vietnam. Did you know that Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn? And remember to subscribe, follow and like us for more. To our wonderful partners on the show, Celico Life, CDB and The Daily Morning, a massive thank you.
She wins with CDB Wings, exclusive financial solutions for women.
Looking back at the week that was on CDB Snapshot.
Over 100,000 Sri Lankans have registered for foreign employment so far in 2025. Sri Lanka's Committee on Public Finance approves an increase in taxes for electric vehicles. A new study finds that only 1 in 5 Sri Lankan adults control their high blood pressure. Nikin Matharachi, Yanika Amarasekara Siaguna and Charit N. Silva make it to the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia list. Sri Lankan lawyer and educator and Veeramanthi International Justice Award winner Neshan Gunasekara appointed CEO of the World Future Council. Austrian singer JJ wins the 2025 Eurovision Song Contest for his song Wasted Love. And Capuchin monkeys in Panama are now kidnapping babies of other monkey species, perplexing scientists.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Celico Life.
Welcome to Celico Life News Capsule. With insurance coverage reaching just 40% of the labour force and 60% of the population, the life insurance industry remains underpenetrated compared to regional peers. Economic pressures from rising living costs to shrinking disposable incomes have made it harder for many households to prioritise long-term financial planning. Discussing all this and more is the Executive Chairman of Celico Life Insurance, R. Renganathan. What is the status of the life insurance industry in Sri Lanka and how does it differ or compare to other countries in this region?
Let me tell you about the penetration levels in Sri Lanka today. If you take the labour market, it stands at about 42%. If you take the entire population, it stands at about 16%. These percentages may be lower than other countries in Southeast Asia. Now, we as a company cater to all market segments A, B, C, D and E. However, with the reduction in the tax threshold, the increase in the cost of living, this has caused a tremendous amount of pressure on those segments. And also the younger generation, they require package policies. That they would want protection, health and return all incorporated in one policy.
How has the role of life insurance evolved when you look at post-pandemic financial planning, especially in the context of middle-income earners?
Post-pandemic resulted in a lot of insurance companies digitalizing their processes. Today, we don't get any proposals that are in the form of a hard copy. All documents are obtained electronically and policyholders are encouraged to pay their premiums electronically.
You mentioned penetration and how low it is. What factors actually impact people obtaining life insurance and why is it so low?
Sri Lankans has a I believe it's a culture, you don't talk too much about death. So what insurance companies do now is to advise their agents to do something called a need analysis with their prospects. It is perhaps the first time that an individual is looking at his needs, his objectives, and then he realizes that there is a need to seek protection.
What kind of regulatory or policy changes maybe would you like to see so that life insurance can be addressed as a safety net for future generations?
There is a need that needs to be addressed, and that is retirement planning. Very few Sri Lankans look at retirement planning. I mean, many of them rely on EPF, ETF and gratuity. But the way the cost of living is increasing, it is hardly enough. So I think there is a need for the regulator to look at ways and means of encouraging retirement planning.
Do you see the life insurance industry growing in the current context?
With so many companies in the industry and the awareness created, we should see the penetration levels increasing.
And let's take a look at the markets this week.
At the Colombo Stock Exchange, the market remained flat, with average daily turnover at around 2 billion rupees. Crude oil inventories in the US continued to increase, while OPEC Plus members increased production, leading to oil prices hovering between 62 and 63 US dollars per barrel. Gold prices held firm at $3,300 US per ounce, with the US dollar weakening and stock markets around the world looking lackluster.
So you've seen volcanoes, but have you encountered one that's underwater? The Axial Seamount off the coast of Oregon is showing signs of impending eruption. Sri Lanka celebrates 100 years of independence in 2048. But what does this centenary anniversary actually mean? What does it mean for the children of today who will be at those celebrations? Asanka de Mel, who we all know as the man who revolutionized the sarong and made it a fashion statement with his brand Lovi, put aside his design eye and focused instead on looking into a crystal ball to see Sri Lanka in 2048. What came out was a book and a film. And he's on Kaleidoscope Let's Talk today to take us into the future. What is it that took you down the path of looking at Sri Lanka in 2048?
All my life, I've been hearing that we are a developing country wanting to be developed. So, and when I looked at it, what is developed, I thought maybe I should write what I see is what I want to see Sri Lanka as a developed country in 2048.
So the film,
Yes.
2048, portrays Sri Lanka as a first world country, one that leads the South Asian region. What makes you think that Sri Lanka is even anywhere near that or getting there even?
So today Sri Lanka is at about 3,800 per capita GDP. The goal in this book and also to become a developed country is roughly around 40,000 per capita GDP. So that's a 10x growth. Today the household income based on the central bank, average household income is 74,000 rupees, somewhere around 74,000 rupees a month. The median household income, meaning that 50% of the households make is 53,600 or something, below 55,000, and is roughly $175 a month for a family of 4. So here these are the realities that we are looking at. And when we are talking about development, okay, we are at 3,800, let's get to 4,400 or 5,000 or that strategy does not get us to a developed country. It gets us, roughly, we are working on optimizing a bad problem, not actually solving the problem. And this book lays out a path on how we can solve this problem once and for all.
So the book 2048 is actually a transcript of a speech made by a leader, a female leader, who is getting a national honor. What are the key things she addresses in that speech?
So this book is written as fiction. It's science fiction in a certain way because it's set in 2048. This lady is giving a talk looking backwards. So the whole path of how we already got to 40,000, and she's laying out how we got there. So in a certain way, it's entertaining, it's easy to read, it's a little bit exciting and emotional, I hope. when you're reading it, and I wanted to present these ideas in a meaningful way so that more people can actually read it and agree or disagree, but at least think about it.
So the goals in the book and the film seem rather lofty.
Yeah.
But realistically, what goals do you think Sri Lanka can actually achieve by 2048?
If you look at, there's more than 20 countries which have done it. Dubai, Singapore has done it in less than 25 years. South Korea, Japan, China with a massive population. It's not totally developed, but more than 600 million people. 30 times the Sri Lankan population is now in a developed state. India is going through this transformation, nearly adding 400 million people over the last 20 years into a developed country state, even though they have a fair amount of, that's 25% of the population, but still. So a country like ours, where the base, the infrastructure is so good, we have the entire country covered in roads, entire country almost covered in digital access. We have relatively high literacy. People speak English almost throughout the country. We have very clear natural borders. We are in the most strategic place in the Indian Ocean. There is no plan that has been presented where we are at 40,000. We don't build the skills or the ability or the infrastructure that is needed to essentially become a developed country. And that is the challenge, and nobody is telling this. No, I have not seen some serious conversation about it. And the purpose of this one is to get our young generation, who's, anybody below 40, who's going to inherit this mess in 2048, to seriously think about it and demand their political leaders, economic leaders, corporate leaders to take action.
What would be your ideal Sri Lanka in a post 100-year independence world?
I would see that it is a developed country with that, at a minimum in today's dollar value, 40,000 per capita GDP. Our minimum incomes are quite high, so that people actually are living meaningful lives. We are in harmony with our nature and our environment. Our children will want to live here and not necessarily have to leave here, and I hope that becomes the truth.
There's something about Vietnamese cuisine that makes your taste buds dance.
So Vietnamese food is special for its excellent balance of flavors. Sweet, sour, spicy, and salty, with the fresh and healthy ingredients with less oil. And we have varieties of dishes from the north to the south, like we have phở from the north. And then we have special bún bò Huế from in the center. And we have famous cơm tấm from the south.
Kim came to Sri Lanka in 2016 and together with her husband Sanjeeva began Kim's Kitchen to share their mutual love of Vietnamese cuisine. Starting at the Good Market, the excellent feedback saw them start Kim's Kitchen, the best of Vietnamese in Palavatta.
I come from the center near Da Nang. So my favorite food is also, it's called mì Quảng, which is like come with a yellow noodle with some meat and some protein with a nice and flavorful broth. At Kim's Kitchen, our customers get to enjoy the authentic Vietnamese food, which I always maintain. And we also extend to a warm and friendly welcome and with a good service.
This week, take a second to recharge and replenish the soul. We will see you next week.